Hey, welcome back to another weekly wealth walk. This week I'm doing a rant because I am frustrated, I'm annoyed at my bank, and it's one of the reasons that I became my own bank, and I don't use banks if I can avoid it. I'm gonna share with you what happened and what I'm doing instead. Stay tuned. Hey, what's up? This is Jerry Fetta coming back to you with another weekly wealth walk. So I went into the bank, had to go to the bank twice this weekend. That's the most times I've had to go to the bank in, I don't know, like a year. Like it's been a while. And the first time was to take a policy loan. So I do this thing called the sacred account where I borrow against my specially designed whole life insurance policies. And so they'll wire the money to the bank. And then from there, I need to do, whatever it is that I'm doing with it. So in this scenario, I was making some investment in my company. I had some money that transferred in and I took a policy loan, transferred it into my bank, and it was in my personal account. I wanted to move it into my business account. Now, I know this is super complicated, so I'm gonna stop walking while I share this part. I'm gonna not share the name of the bank because I don't want to cause any issues, but I was at my bank and I have a personal checking account and a personal savings account. I keep minimal money in there. But when I need to do a policy loan, it goes into my personal checking account or my personal savings account. Makes sense, right? Here's where it gets wild. At the same bank, I needed to transfer the money from my personal account into my business account with the same institution. So there's a personal account that has my name on it, Jerry Fetta, and then there's a business account that has my business name that's owned by Jerry Fetta, one and the same. Apparently this was a confusing matter. I went into the bank on Saturday and I was there for over an hour as they tried to figure out how to move money from my personal checking account to my business account. Again, I'm gonna stop because this is so confusing, right? This is a difficult thing. I don't wanna be doing too many things at once here. I had money in my left pocket and I wanted to move it to my right pocket, but that was hard. So it took an hour to figure out how can money be moved from my left pocket to my right pocket. So I finally got that done and I'm like, okay, good. That's finished. I can use the money in my business. I can wire the transaction out for my company, do the thing I needed to do. Not that easy, okay? So I get in there, try and do it online, and I find out I've got a daily wire limit. There's an amount of money that I'm limited to wiring each day, and I needed to get all of the money out in one fell swoop. And the only way to accomplish that was to go into the bank again and ask them to do a wire. Now, who here, show me some love in the comments, who here is like me where you don't use your debit card? Like I cannot remember the last time I used my debit card for any kind of transaction, particularly in a business setting. I like using credit cards. I can get cash back. I have better anti-fraud protection, and it's just easier. I don't need to remember PIN numbers or any of that stuff. So I go in there and they're like, hey, we need to verify you using your debit card. And I'm like, luckily I have it. Like I just happened to bring it today. And they're like, no. You need to actually know your PIN as well. And I was like, well, I don't know my PIN because this is not 1996. Right? Like I can unlock my phone with my face. Why do I need to remember a debit card PIN? A PIN that I didn't even pick, by the way. You guys sent me the PIN. When I first set up my account, you guys told me what the PIN was, which is why I don't remember it. You sent it on a little letter and I lost the letter because it's paper and it gets lost and I don't remember what the PIN is. So it took me another hour to wire money out of my business bank account to handle this transaction that I wanted to do, right? And it just made me laugh because the system of building wealth, it's about control of capital. Okay, I'm gonna break this down for you. If you ever had an experience like this, it's frustrating, it's annoying. I've had them freeze money before because they're like, whoa, you deposited a lot of money. We need to make sure that we get to use it before you do. So let's hold your account for 2 weeks, whatever the number is, right? So I already know the bank is borrowing against my deposits. That's part of my frustration. So it's not like they're doing good Samaritan work. It's like, you guys are freaking borrowing against my money and making money on my money's money and not paying me anything, right? And you're probably committing fraud and doing all sorts of shady stuff in the process. They're already not on my good side, right? And you might relate to this where you're like, yeah, I already don't like going to the bank. I don't like going to the bank for loans. I don't like going to the bank for deposits. I don't like waiting in lines. Generally speaking, if I go somewhere and there's a line, I'll just leave. I don't do lines. The only time I can't avoid lines seems to be the bank. But I thought it was funny because this whole thing I do, this concept of the sacred account and using whole life insurance as my sacred account for infinite banking, it's about becoming my own bank. And it just really made me appreciate that system today because I'm sitting here, I'm dealing with the frustration of the bank and how easy it was to give them my money and then how difficult it is for me to control my money. And so a lot of times people get confused where they think wealth building starts with investing. No. Wealth building starts with control over money. Okay, you have to have a pool of money. You have to have a resource. And so the number one thing banks do first is they control that resource. They control the money, they control the capital. And you can see that by evidence of how difficult it was for me just to transfer my own funds, just to send out a wire transaction for my own bank account. Like it took me 2 hours collectively over the last 3 days. I was in there doing this kind of stuff. So they have a high degree of control over money. Not only that, they wanted to know like, oh, what's the transaction for? What are you doing? And I'm like, none of your freaking business. That's what I'm doing. I'm conducting my company is what I'm doing, right? It's got nothing to do with you. So this control aspect is the first and primary thing. When you earn money, active or passive, it doesn't matter, who controls it, right? Because it's not about investing first, it's about controlling it first. If you don't have control over it, if it's not in your possession, you're not the one calling the shots, you're not the one who is in charge of the outcomes, then you don't have control and you're not gonna build wealth if you don't have control, okay? The second thing is the money that I had in the bank today that I wanted to wire out, same money that I was trying to transfer over the weekend. So that money was in my banking system first, right? And so I got to do with my own money the thing the bank wanted to do. So for those of you that don't know, when you put money in a bank, they don't just like put it in a shoebox with a bow on top and put it in the vault and let it sit there. No, they're loaning it out, they're investing it. For every $1 you give them, they can loan it out 10 times. Think about that, right? Interest rate on a car, 6%, 10 times, what is that? They're making 60% on that. And paying you, by the way, like 0.04. So the average bank makes 1,200% more per year on your deposits than you do. I'm gonna repeat that. That's from Bauer Financial. The average bank makes 1,200% more on your money, on your deposits per year than you do. So because I put it in my life insurance policy first, I got to be the banker. You see, if I would have left it in the bank this whole time, leading up to when I needed to use it, which is what most people do. They're like, oh, it's a safe place. It's safe, I'm gonna leave it there. With the people who we know screw us every single year, but it's fine, right? I'm gonna leave it there though. So I didn't do that, I put it in my life insurance policy. I borrowed against it. I'm still earning uninterrupted compounding interest, right? So the life insurance policy still grows, it still earns dividends, it still earns guaranteed interest while I'm using it. So even in this scenario, this was not a wire I was excited about doing. Like this was something where I was like, man, this is for my business, I have to do it. I wasn't like, this is a good opportunity. It was one of those things where you're like, I don't have a choice. I have to do this. It wasn't my favorite thing to do. At least I'm still gonna earn uninterrupted compounding interest while that happened. Now here's the other thing on this. At least I was being paid for my time being in there those 2 hours, right? Sitting there waiting as they tried to figure out how to move money from my left pocket to my right pocket, trying to figure out what I'm using money for in my own business, slowing down the process. It's like every minute they wanted to keep it a little longer so they could generate a little more interest on it. That's what it felt like. I knew, at least I'm earning interest while I'm here. That uninterrupted compounding is happening even while I'm sitting in line at the bank, bitching about this, complaining about it, having a bad experience. Even while that's happening, I'm still earning uninterrupted compounding interest. So guys, if you're using someone else's bank, that would be the first thing I would say you need to change if you really want to achieve wealth and financial freedom. Like if you're under someone else's financial control, your money belongs to them. They say when you can use it, they say when you can't use it, they decide if you get to transfer it or not. Like those are all things that relinquish control, and you cannot build wealth that way. So I want to encourage you, like check out this becoming your own bank thing. Check out the Sacred Account. If you look at, there's a book, and this is not a guy I'm a fan of, but you have to learn from people you don't like also. Just because you don't like someone doesn't mean they don't know something. But John D. Rockefeller, okay, asshole, very suppressive, not someone I aspire to at all, not even a little bit, as far as his integrity and his goals and his purposes and stuff, right? But we have to admit the guy was good at building and preserving wealth. So in his book to his son, it's 38 letters to his son he wrote. I posted this on my story the other week, but he has a chapter in there where he talks about how involved he had become with banks. With the wealth he was building, it was like there was no way for him to not use banks. And he talks about like, you know, obviously there was some degree of help there. You know, if he took a loan or whatever it was, obviously they provided a service to him that he felt like he needed. But at the end of that chapter, he said something, and I'm gonna say the same thing to you. He said, now I don't use banks because I am one. So those of you that are studying about the Rockefellers and hearing all this hype, go to the horse's mouth. I don't know why it's called the horse's mouth, but go there. Strange phrase. Go right to his book. You don't need to go through someone else telling you here's what the Rockefellers did. Go to his book and read that. It's like page 36, at least in the version I have. And he says, I am the bank. So if you're not the bank, you're behind and you're not gonna get ahead because that very first step of control is gone. If you want to learn about becoming your own bank, using the Sacred account, using life insurance, and you would like help with it. And guys, I'm gonna just wrap it up on this. I know I keep saying I'm gonna wrap it up and I always think it's something else, but I literally just had a lady who she's like, oh, I already did this. And I was like, good, send me your policy. Send me what you got. And I have this bet with myself and with my staff where I was like 90% she's got the wrong kind or they designed it wrong. So she sends me what she's got. She is losing $8,000 the first year. Almost 80% of the money that she's putting in there, she's not gonna have access to. So you can't just set these up with anybody. Like if you walk into an insurance agent's office and say, hey, I saw this video on YouTube that said I needed whole life insurance, and then you just go to an insurance agent and do that, they're gonna give you the wrong stuff. They're gonna give you what pays them the most commissions. They're gonna give you what they get the most money off of, not what you get the most money off of, right? That's important. It's gotta be designed correctly. So if you wanna learn more about this, you can grab my book. I've got a book, it's like 14 bucks for the paperback. It's like $6 for the Kindle. And if that's too expensive, we shouldn't be talking, right? But I'm also gonna give you a free bonus training. When you buy the book, let my team know you got it. Send us your proof of purchase. I'm gonna give you an in-depth training on how this stuff works so you can do it the right way. Okay, because guys, I've lost money. I set my policies up wrong the first 3 times. It's not fun, it's expensive, it's not a good experience. There's a reason why there's so many mixed reviews about this. If you wanna do it the right time, the right way, all of that stuff needs to be done correctly. If you want that, my information is in the book. Here's how you do it, here's where you go, here's the right way to put it together. And so I wanna have you guys grab that, check it out. Thanks for watching, I'm gonna tune out. I'll see you on my next Wealth Walk.